Alright, let's dive in, shall we? It's May 2025 and Donald Trump is, according to the White House website, still steering the ship of state. Or perhaps more accurately, he's on the deck, shouting at seagulls and mistaking the foghorn for applause. The air is thick with concerns about his cognitive well-being. These aren't just quiet murmurs, these are full-throated questions from people wondering if the lights are still on upstairs. Consider the reports from inside meetings where attendees have emerged looking like they've just sat through a lecture on quantum physics delivered by a particularly distracted badger. Trump's alleged inability to maintain a single train of thought has left even seasoned political operatives scratching their heads. Even the grand old party seems to be having a few nervous twitches. A USA Today opinion piece suggested, GOP keeps clinging to Biden's health to ignore Trump's decline. Now, we need to address something a bit delicate. The health history of Trump's father. Fred Trump Sr. was diagnosed with dementia, a condition that steals memories and clarity. While a family member's illness does not automatically predict the future for another, it is a piece of information that hangs in the air when discussing Donald Trump's own cognitive patterns. This kind of family medical history leads to heightened scrutiny. When a public figure starts exhibiting behaviors that seem erratic or confused, the public and the media will naturally look for context. The core issue is Donald Trump's own behavior, his own statements, his own apparent cognitive state right here, right now, in 2025. Let's talk specifics because the devil is in the details. Take for instance his justification for wanting to slash the corporate tax rate from 21% to 20%. His reported answer, it's a round number. Then there was the now infamous phone-in from Mar-a-Lago. Reports described his speech as slurred and meandering. He apparently regaled listeners with gems like, I know Putin very well. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. I said, you can't do it, Vladimir. And who could forget his adventures in social media? In one episode he reportedly posted a random image of a swan accompanied by a caption suggesting that golf is dangerous. The logical connections there are as clear as mud. And the hits just kept on coming. There was the social media gaffe involving an image supposedly depicting dead white farmers in South Africa, which actually showed a scene from the Congo. Each of these incidents, taken alone, might be dismissed as a slip-up. But taken together, they paint a rather alarming picture of someone whose grasp on facts, focus and coherent communication seems to be increasingly tenuous. It's the kind of non sequitur that makes you wonder if his social media account is being managed by a Dadaist poet. The overall impression is one of a man whose grasp on reality is, at best, tenuous. West Point, a masterclass in how to address future leaders. Picture this, West Point, the United States Military Academy. It's graduation day, a pinnacle moment for these cadets. And who graces the stage as the commencement speaker? None other than President Donald J. Trump. And how does he choose to mark this occasion? By reportedly sauntering out wearing a bright red MAGA hat. The speech itself was less a tribute to the graduates and more a bizarre monologue. It was a curious cocktail of campaign bragging, rambling personal anecdotes and offhand remarks about trophy wives. Instead of duty, service and sacrifice, they got marital advice from a man whose own romantic history is extensively documented. His behavior beyond the podium also raised eyebrows. Traditionally, the commencement speaker shakes the hands of the graduating cadets. Trump? Reportedly, not so much. He allegedly skipped this tradition. Furthermore, after concluding his unique oration, he appeared disoriented, reportedly needing guidance from a military officer just to find his way off the stage. The overall impression was one of a man utterly disconnected from his audience and the solemnity of the event. Critics described it as a MAGA-themed spectacle, a bizarre hybrid of half-graduation address, half-campaign rally. It was a display of such profound tone deafness that it left many wondering if he even understood where he was or why he was there. The immediate firestorm, "When are you kidding me?" becomes a national chorus. The reaction to Trump's West Point performance was, to put it mildly, not glowing. The words disastrous and catastrophic were thrown around like confetti at a very depressing parade. This wasn't just the usual partisan grumbling, this felt different. The speech, and the behavior surrounding it, seemed to crystallize the growing anxieties about his mental state. It was as if people collectively threw their hands up and said, okay, this is not normal, not even Trump normal. Journalist David Bernstein commented on the sheer absurdity of Trump in a MAGA hat, boasting about his campaign to West Point graduates. It's like showing up to a funeral and trying to sell life insurance to the widow. The inappropriateness was so glaring it was almost performance art. The commentary quickly escalated. One observer reportedly said, We're used to Trump using every stage for political rants, but this felt different. Another, more bluntly opined, "He sounds like someone who escaped an asylum." The outcry was significant, and it was immediate. Of course, in the vast and often bewildering landscape of American political commentary, you can always find a contrary opinion. However, against the tidal wave of criticism, disbelief, and outright condemnation, this praise felt like a very small boat in a very large, very angry ocean. The veteran viewpoint. From reverence to revulsion. For many veterans, the West Point display was not just a political misstep, it was a deeply personal affront. Fred Wellman, a respected veteran, minced no words, calling Trump's performance deeply disgusting. This wasn't just about a bad speech, it was about the desecration of a sacred moment for future military leaders. The criticism from the veteran community was sharp and widespread. Daniel Larson, another veteran, didn't hold back, referring to Trump as an orange blob menace, and flatly stating, "Impeach this idiot." These are individuals who have dedicated their lives to the principles of duty, honor, and country principles that seemed utterly alien to the man on stage at West Point. The enduring question. Mark, legacy, leadership, and a whole lot of orange. The West Point speech wasn't just another fleeting Trump controversy, it felt like a significant marker. It became a potent symbol of a presidency increasingly characterized by bizarre pronouncements, questionable decisions, and a general aura of unpredictability. The broader implications for the perception of American leadership, both at home and abroad, are frankly quite staggering. How does the rest of the world view a nation whose leader uses a prestigious military graduation to discuss trophy wives and wear campaign merchandise? Beyond the geopolitical stage, there's the damage to the dignity of the office itself. Turning a West Point commencement into what was described as a MAGA-themed spectacle doesn't elevate the presidency, it drags it down into the mud of partisan showboating. The questions surrounding Donald Trump's cognitive fitness and his erratic behavior are not just political fodder, they are deeply serious inquiries into his capacity to lead, and they cast a long, orange shadow over his legacy.